the last episode of Black Fatherhood Legacy Podcast. It's been a wonderful year, y'all. I thank y'all for tuning in, for helping us grow this, helping us figure it out. You know, there's a lot of figuring out in this season, but I feel like we kind of got our feet wet, and I think we're ready to do bigger and better in season 2. Once again, we are looking back at this year with the best clips, some of the best stuff from each episode of the Black Fatherhood Legacy Podcast. I wish I could get to all of them because there's so many good clips, but I'm going to get to the ones that probably got the most views on YouTube and Instagram and the rest. Dwayne, my co-host, his buddy DJ came on, gave some really good insight about discipline, right, in the Black household, coming from the background that he had and also being in the education field and dealing with children every day. He had really good insight on how to discipline, as far as taking some of the old school, mixing it with some of the new school, and applying all of that to make something that is viable for today. So I'll get in the first clip with my boy DJ talking about discipline in the household.
You have to assert your dominance, but not in a way that's like, I'm over you and I'm this and that. You have to be like, listen, this is a respect factor. This is my position. I'm your father, right? Understand what that is and how that works. Now that you understand what that is, now let's do this.
Let's go.
I got you.
Yeah, we gonna do this together, and like that's it. Till the wheels fall off, and if they fall off, we putting them back on. Like, that's just the end of it.
Because even like, you know, because like with me, I'm a school teacher. I substitute teach, but I also teach at times. Like, kids like me because they know my energy's gonna come in. I'm gonna be pure. Like, I come at kids the way kids need to be came at this day and age. I tell them all the time. I say, like, look, hey, I ain't gonna be crazy if the principal and everybody walk in because I understand where I'm at. But when these doors is closed and it's just us, I'm gonna talk to you how it needs to be talking because I understand that you get it. I'm not here to disrespect you, but I need you to understand I get it. And so I can have the bad kids in my classroom because the bad kids know that, oh, we're gonna have real conversations. It ain't, I'm gonna hold you accountable. Like, that's some stuff that you doing, blase, blah. And I don't run into discipline problems. So the same bad kid that's in Mrs. Such and Such room, he in there tripping or she in there tripping, ain't giving me the same kind of problems. They gonna do them because that's just part of them is innate to how they act. But it's only gonna be to a certain extent, because when I raise my voice,
it's like, different.
Oh, Coach DJ out here tripping. Nah. To this day, it broke me more than if
knew what Pops did. So we're not gonna do this. They were just like, oh, I get a position. So you were saying in the sense of you have to assert your dominance, but not in a way that's like, I'm over you and I'm this and that. You have to be like, listen, this is a respect factor. This is my position. I'm your father, right? Understand what that is and how that works. Now that you understand what that is, now let's do this.
Let's go.
I got you.
Yeah, we gonna do this together, and like that's it. Till the wheels fall off, and if they fall off, we putting them back on. Like, that's just the end of it.
Because even like, you know, because like with me, I'm a school teacher. I substitute teach, but I also teach at times. Like, kids like me because they know my energy's gonna come in. I'm gonna be pure. Like, I come at kids the way kids need to be came at this day and age. I tell them all the time. I say, like, look, hey, I ain't gonna be crazy if the principal and everybody walk in because I understand where I'm at. But when these doors is closed and it's just us, I'm gonna talk to you how it needs to be talking because I understand that you get it. I'm not here to disrespect you, but I need you to understand I get it. And so I can have the bad kids in my classroom because the bad kids know that, oh, we're gonna have real conversations. It ain't, I'm gonna hold you accountable. Like, that's some stuff that you doing, blase, blah. And I don't run into discipline problems. So the same bad kid that's in Mrs. Such and Such room, he in there tripping or she in there tripping, ain't giving me the same kind of problems. They gonna do them because that's just part of them is innate to how they act. But it's only gonna be to a certain extent because when I raise my voice,
it's like, different.
Oh, Coach DJ out here tripping. Nah, y'all out here tripping, requiring me to raise my voice.
Yep, you making me yell.
Exactly. Because like one of the biggest things we had when I was working at Gaston was like tardies, right? Kids tardy, you know how it is, man. Yeah. Kids tardy, middle school. Cause like, bro, like stop talking to old girl. Man, just get to class. Stop, you your homie about to see. Just get to class. So I get there. So what I end up doing is I'm trying to figure out this whole tardy situation too. Like I got first kids showing up tardy. So then I had to start telling like, hey, look, check this out. I'm not here for the tardy stuff. You feel me? I'm not necessarily tripping because my thing is if I have yet to take attendance, you not necessarily tardy. That was my thing. Mm-hmm. But because kids coming down the hall, the principals and everybody looking at it, they like, so I said, okay, I got to switch stuff up. So what I did was I told kids, I said, look, show up to my class late. When I close this door, you got to sing a lullaby. You got to come in here. You're going to be singing the Itsy Bitsy Spider, My Little Teacup, The Wheels in the Boat. You don't know, because I was writing them on the board. So you don't know what lullaby I got on the board. So when you show up, you walk in this room, because when I walk, because I'm at the door, I'm greeting my kid, boop, 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 boop. So when I close this door, you walk in after I close this door, that's what's happening. Oh, yeah. 2 kids did it. I stopped having tardies because they knew I was serious. Right. Now I start getting the kids who like that, right? Who don't care about being in the limelight.
They wouldn't wait for the door to close.
Yeah. So it didn't bother me because I knew what I was dealing with. And it's like, in my head, if you sing, I won't mark you tardy.
Right.
If you don't sing, I'm going to mark you tardy. So you got the kids like, well, I'm going to just show up. I like being in front of class. I'm going to sing. So now our class has a vibe. Yeah. Because I'm going to have those two. And then you got the other kids who don't want no parts of that.
They don't want that smoke.
That's right. Right.
Kids, I'm talking, you see them running down the hall trying to get to my class because they really don't want that smoke. Introverts, So it works out. I get the kids to create a vibe that's going to show up tardy and they're going to do the little singing. And I get my kids that like, oh, no,
I'm not doing that. I'm in
there. But that's a part of the discipline. I didn't have to yell, fuss, cuss, do all that. It's finding what works. And a lot of teachers in our business don't figure out what works. They try to still be those same teachers that we had.
Right.
We going to do this. And I'm not, no, bro.
And because I think that's a part of the old school in the sense of like even just people in authority, period. Like not just our parents, but
anybody with authority.
It was corny.
Yeah.
Like, and how they did it. And I often talk about this, generational gaps. So there's not as big of a generational gap anymore between us and these younger generations.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of it has to do with hip hop, has to do with a lot of these different things, elements that we grew up with that are still happening today. See, our parents, their music is gone, right? Disco is gone.
Yeah.
All that funk music is out the door, right?
Yeah, that's gone. Yeah.
Bell bottoms is gone, right? And you see the kids now in this generation are resurrecting like a lot of 90s stuff, a lot of stuff that we grew up on, right? And so there's not that much of a generational gap. So we are more relatable in that way.
And to just not to cut you, and to credit you, it's the fact that we're a part of the change, right? Like the social media change start happening with us. You feel me? Before iPhones and all that stuff, we had sidekicks and chirps.
Right.
So like how we communicate, and then we had the sidekick. That was the first level of real texting. And really communicating, instant messaging. So as everything would continue to evolve, we never lost touch because we were able to evolve with it, to be in touch.
All right, in this next clip, this was Dwayne talking about balance, right? When it comes to discipline in the Black household, something that he didn't really see in the old generations, the prior generations before us. But he's seeing a lot of Black fathers today understanding what that balance is. And he does a really good job of explaining that in this next clip.
See, and that goes back to what you're saying of finding a balance. But because we were able to stay in touch as we continue to grow, we're able to find that balance with our children now.
Facts.
Our parents back then or before then, they weren't able to find that balance. There was no balance. There was no, you didn't have it. So now we're able to find a balance. Like my daughter can come in here and play a song and I'm like, wait, play that again. How do you even know that song? I play it again. I like that song. But then it's like You couldn't.
They're like, what kind of music is it? Turn that jungle music off. Like, yeah.
I don't want that in my house.
Right.
I'm like, come on, like, it's different.
It's different.
They weren't looking to try and figure out what we were doing. You in the room, you got your headphones, you were in there really rocking.
Yeah.
Your dad come in,
Your whole vibe,
take it off. Like, what you listening to? Why you listening to that? No, I don't want that in my. Now it's like, well, okay, let's find something else that's in between, or like,
because there's variety.
There's so many different.
So
things
like, if
now,
I don't want you listening to that, but I got this, and it's still
the same.
So like, hey,
exactly, I can give you an alternative to it, and now we walk a different plane together. You think I understand where you at, so now you see me in a different light.
Yep.
So it's that finding that balance.
And to that, it's the exposure. Like we can't be so naive to not understand the exposure of things now is so accessible. So for me to sit there and try to like dictate everything that you're gonna do, I'm gonna drive myself crazy.
Because they have too much access. They have way too much access. We didn't have that much access.
We didn't have access to nothing.
No.
We didn't have nothing.
Think about nothing.
But I do feel like this because I got nephews. I got different kids around me of different ages, right?
Okay.
Different groups. So I got like my nephew's like 27, 26. Then I got my little cousins and they're all different age groups. One thing I'm noticing is with the access is the more you have access to it, the less you're apt to do it. So it was the whole thing of I'm doing something and I'm getting something I'm not supposed to be getting.
Yeah, that's how we thrive.
Yeah, that's
and
how
so,
we got.
that's how we
that's
thrive.
how we
so
operated.
if you take that away from it, it loses its mystique. Right? And so a lot of what you feel like a lot of young kids are trying to get into, they're really not. Because there's no mystique around it. Now they are still trying to get around those things that still have that, package with it, but these things are not. So I don't look, because I see how it affected them. Like I see how him as a young man, like he's 26 years old, he's a grown man now, but he grew up in that pocket where he had more access than I had in my coming up.
Right.
And so I'm like, we're not that far apart, but it's like, what did that do? And I'm seeing, okay, he had the access, but there was no mystique around it, right? There was no like, oh, I have access to this. Like, no, and
like,
so
I just got it.
Got it.
So one thing that we all kind of came into agreement in is every child is different, how we discipline them, how we even speak to them, interact with them, because they're different, that we have to treat them as such. And so DJ in this clip talked about every child being different and why we have to treat them and talk to them differently to get the best results out of our disciplining these kids.
You have to understand that every child is different. Every child's different.
And so to your point, this is what me and, before we had came back, this is what we were talking about, me and my guy D, that our parents saw us as them. Like, you're my child, so you're going to do things my way, or that's it. Like, you are not you until you leave my house. Then you become a you.
Right.
But for right now, during these 18 years, or however long, with me it was 17, however long it is, you're me, you're mine. With us, we have learned to see our children as their own individuals. So because we see them as their own individuals, you learn that you can't discipline each child the same way. And the way I learned that is through coaching. As a basketball coach, as a football coach, I knew the player who I need to go really get into.
Right.
Right? I can go talk to him wild because he's going to respond. Then also know the player that I got to go be like, hey, look, man.
Yeah, come on.
You feel me? Like, I understand. And then I had the players where I can just look at him. Like, what's up? And so from that, I have ushered that into how I deal with my own children, because I fully understand they let them be them. And then I base how I handle them off of what they need for me to give to them.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of that, it's like you said, when our parents had us, we were all generalized. And now, like you guys, it's you, your brother, your sister, your other, it's y'all.
That's it.
Yep. You guys were a tandem together. It wasn't, I wasn't me, it wasn't them. No, you guys are together. Right. So as we go through this road, like you said, these 17, 18 years, whatever, it's us. But for us, I see my daughter and the way she responds to things is different than my other daughter. So how can I respond to both of them in the same facet and expecting the same results? It's not going to happen. And like you said, sports is perfect for that. I can't get at this guy the same way I get at him and expect him to be ready to shoot the game-winning shot because he's sad now. Shouldn't have yelled at him that way. But if I would have talked to him, pumped up his spirit a little bit, he ready to go. It's game time. Now, the one that needed to be yelled at, I was too easy on him, and it didn't work, and he turned it over, and we lost.
Right.
Like, you got to find a balance, and I think that's the difference. Like we said, prayer. They didn't find that balance. It was just, okay, this is what it is. We getting it done this way. Now, we get to sit back because, quite frankly, we might not have liked how that was.
No, that's
exactly what it is. We
bro.
didn't like it.
We didn't like it.
Like you said, you took what you got from your dad. You took what you got from your mom. You put that together. Then you added who you were. It's that big part of who we are is because we're taking the things that we liked.
Yes.
I'm not taking all the stuff I didn't like. I didn't like the way you did that. I don't want that. But when you did that, let me have that. Wait, I didn't like that. I'm going to switch it up, though, and see if we can make it work.
A little remix, baby.
I'm actually looking to figure that out. Like, I'm working, my third daughter is going to be here in December. I can guarantee she's not going to be like my oldest,
nope,
who's about to be 8, nor will she be like the youngest, who's 4. But those two are completely on different spectrums in itself.
Because so the dynamic of individualism, like he was saying, like I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that, like you said, we took the good things. So whenever our parents individualized us in that way, we felt different, right? Like, we never forget the time that your dad took you by himself somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Like, those times where it was just you and pops, you remember. That time it was just you and mom, you remember, because it's individualizing that relationship,
moment.
That outside of the family dynamic, outside of your brothers and sisters. But this was just me and you.
It was that one special moment.
And so we now try to take that into everything, though. And I think it's just because of a lot of it. We come from sports background. I always tell people, because in the last episodes, remember, we referenced a lot of sports.
You go get it.
Because we come from that. Like, I come from a basketball background.
Yes.
I come from an elite basketball family. I'm talking college and pros, and I come from that environment. And so a lot of the environment we're raised in has a lot of sport.
It's competitive.
Yeah, type of vibes to it, like with the athleticism, the camaraderie, you just said it,
you made me miss it. I dropped it.
Yeah. I'm saying that the competitiveness,
together.
All of it combined, and what it teaches you is the family's a team.
Yes.
And then you've got the coach, you've got the assistant coach,
you got the players,
you got the players.
Yeah.
Right? And our goal is to be the best we can be for whatever it is that we're trying to win the day.
Yeah.
Right.
We're trying to win the day. You're trying to help everybody win the day.
We all want to win.
And so the coach, to be a successful team, the coach and assistant coach got to be on the same page on how you discipline and how you conduct whatever. The players have to have a mindset that we got to buy in to what they're doing, because if I'm not bought in, there's conflict, and we don't fix that conflict, we're just losing games over and over again. And listen to me, I know a lot of y'all that don't follow sports are like, what are you talking about?
So this was a really, really, really tough episode. This was the episode with my boy Dave Huff. This was probably only the second time we had this conversation as men, between him and I. Unfortunately, we both had to experience stillborn and a miscarriage in our lives, and as husbands, as fathers, and we wanted to speak on that, but from a male's perspective. But a lot of time when it comes to miscarriages and stillbirth, you hear a lot from the women's side and what women go through, but you never really hear about what the man is going through. And so this was something that I really wanted to talk about, and it was tough to talk about, but we did get through this episode. And here's one of those clips right here.
But going through that, we had 2 stillborns. One in 2010, then another one in 2012. It came out of nowhere. Typically, they say when it comes to pregnancy, the first 4 months are risky. That's where a whole lot of things can happen. But at the same time, once you make it to week 20, you're fine, or the risk they start to decrease. So as far as us in our situation, and I'll speed through it real quick as far as the timeline. So as far as us in our situation, it was a week 20, or sorry for like, no, week 18 we're good, week 19, week 20 we're good. All of a sudden, my wife, she starts spotting. And then, make a long story short on this one, it was a miscarriage, a stillborn. Me, I'm calling Children's Hospital trying to figure out what can happen. And they say, no, I'm sorry, myself, there's nothing we can do about it. It just happens. But like I said, even with that process, there are sights and there are smells that I can't get out of my head to this day. So, and that's the tough part if I'm shooting it straight. Still, even when a woman has a stillborn, what many people don't know, they still have to deliver that child. And that's the tough part. So as a husband, it's like, you can't do anything.
No, nothing.
And a woman, they have to literally deliver a dead baby, which is unfortunate. So as a husband, it's like, yes, you're going through a whole lot of stuff. You're there, you want to be there to support her. But at the same time, it's almost just you want to be selfless, put your emotions aside, take care of her, meet all of her needs. But while at the same time, that's also double-edged sword. Because if you put your emotions aside, then what are you doing to deal with them? And for me, I had to find several outlets, listen to weights, playing basketball. A lot of time people ask, like, oh, so how's the pregnancy going? And then it's a reminder. I didn't like talking about it because every time you explain it, it's a reminder. So of course, my wife, she was hurting. A couple months go by. I didn't want to talk about it. Trying again. A year go by. I didn't want to talk about it. Roughly a year and a half went by. We spoke about it and we tried again. So here it is again. We're on week 15, 17, 19. 20 is the most nervous one. And then we hit week 21. And so the first one was a girl. The second one was a boy. We were trying to discuss names for him. We didn't have a name for the second one. So, but at the same time, like I said, we hit week 20. And then we think we're in the clear. We hit week 21. I'm at work. My wife gives me a call. She told me, Dave, you need to hurry up and come home. I'm experiencing the same thing. And it sucked because as I'm driving home, I see a ambulance in the distance. And as I make a right, it makes a right, I make a right. It makes a left, I make a left. So from a distance, I see where it's going and I know where it's going. And like I said, it's another sight you can't get out of your head. Images I don't want to explain in depth. Like I said, those things that are just like buried there. So still with that one, that one sucked because like I said, you're week 20, week 21, you're excited. All of a sudden, boom, your life changes. We didn't even have a name for him. We just call him Angel. And it kind of sucked because it's like, just call him Angel. Like, okay, whatever. Right. And the same thing happened to delivery. So, like I said, with that one, it was tough. And when you're going through it, it's unfortunate because then again, you got to bear your emotions because you got to cater towards your wife as a husband. You got to hold her. There was one part where I had to be truthful to where I told my wife, I'm like, well, you're not the only one hurting. Like, I'm pretty much your pain cushion because here it is. I'm supporting you. Well, what about me? I'm doing this for you. What about me? You're not the only one hurting. I'm hurting as well. The first one was a girl. Here it is, a boy. I was looking forward to it. And now we don't have it. Yet everything has to be about you. So, and then my wife, she understood it. Again, like I said, as a husband, now it's tough to speak up and say that because you know that she's hurting. Right. So the last thing you want to do is say something to hurt her even more. Right. Because just knowing my wife, I know that she'll quickly take the emotions off of herself and then beat herself up even more. And it's not my job to say anything to beat herself up even more. Right. Yeah. So like I said, it was challenging with that, knowing, okay, I've experienced it for a reason. And in hindsight, there's more people that go through it. So now that we discuss those things with people, you don't go around advertising it because it's almost like a sense of embarrassment. You don't go around poking at it, getting somebody to talk about it. When you hear somebody that went through it, it's like, hey man, if you need anything, just let me know.
That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at with it, man. You were the only one I knew at the time. Like you were the only person I knew at the time that had gone through it. And I didn't reach out to you at the time.
Yeah.
Because I did feel like a sense of embarrassment, in a sense, in that way. Because just like you said, the images that you can't get out of your head, my wife still had to deliver that baby, you know, and seeing that, it was tough, bro. Like, tough, because you're just like, I mean, we didn't. I believe he was a boy.
Yeah.
But like I said, no name, you know, no nothing for the kid yet. And the second pregnancy was tough because, just like you said, you have expectations already set in your mind, and you're like, I don't want to tell nobody nothing. And so it was like almost a secret that we were pregnant, and I didn't want it to be like that, but it wasn't until you were there at my daughter's birthday party. Right? Because at that point, you know, you reached that my wife showing almost 20 weeks, you know, we felt like, okay, we can, you know, but even then, my wife, the whole time, she was just like, any feeling, anything